Welcome back, everybody, to the No Such Thing as a Fish Comic Relief Marathon. We are now entering, fact number 9. We're making good progress here. We've had some amazing facts said so far. We've had some amazing conversations, and we've had some fantastic donations. Just a reminder, if you're tuning in now, that's what this is all about. This is in aid of comic relief. The charity sector has really suffered this year as a result of the pandemic. We're trying to do our best to raise as much money for them so that comic relief can continue to do all the extraordinary work that they've done. We're on £49,490 right now. It's fantastic. Thank you so much. But we want more. We want way more. So keep giving. Now, let's bring on our next guest. We're really excited to have her on the show. She's a brilliant actor, comedian, presenter, author. She does everything. She does everything brilliantly. Please welcome, it's the wonderful Sue Perkins.
Hey,
yes.
Hey.
Hello, Sue.
Hi, Sue. I want to live in your world. That was the nicest introduction I've ever had. Not deserved, I would say, but I loved it.
Completely deserved. So here we go. Welcome to No Such Thing as a Fish. We're going to crack into fact number 9, and that is Sue Perkins.
Okay. Happy days. It's 2008, if you can cast your mind back, and Barack Obama has been elected president of the United States of America. And in Kenya, suddenly people start naming their children Barack. But when he visits Kenya in 2015, one woman named her son Air Force One.
Wow. You've got to, everyone's called Barack now, you know?
You've got to think outside of the box.
Lovely name.
I wonder if it's because when the plane touched down, she thought, well, it must be a personalised plane.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of, but it's a great name. I mean, Air Force One is a fabulous name.
It's a good job that he didn't come by car, otherwise he would have just got a number plate for a name like G11.
Or the Beast, as his car is.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Maybe like with Brooklyn Beckham, you know, maybe she conceived the baby on Air Force One and thought name it after the place of conception. That's a thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes,
that is a thing. But I think security is quite tight on Air Force One. I don't think they just have a conception cabin.
No, I don't think people just get on board, give birth, and then hop off again. Like a sort of very high-speed maternity unit.
Yeah.
I like the idea of being named after sort of modes of transport. I like that.
Yeah.
You know, you'd get lots of Trabants in old Russia.
You used to get, actually in Russia, you used to get people called combine harvester and nuclear power station and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, tractor. Yeah.
In Soviet times, like it was really, it was thought to be a thing for the country if you would name your child after the great progress of the Soviet nation.
So I'd be sort of 5-year plan Perkins if I was.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a gendered language, so you have to make sure you get the right one. You can't call your son Power Station, because that's a girl's name.
Heaven forfend, in Russia. Yeah.
I spent a few years ago, I spent some time in Kosovo. And when I was in Kosovo, I was told that there were a few people there called Tonibler. And Tonibler was a squished up version of Tony Blair as a name, which was given to children there because of his role in what happened there between the years, I can't remember what years it was now, apologies.
Late 90s.
Late 90s.
98.
Yeah, and everywhere you went in Kosovo, where there was a building, the building would be sort of draping a huge picture of Bill Clinton, and there would be Bill Clinton's burger shop, and it was such a big deal there. So yeah, even to the point of kids were being called Tonibler.
That's where Clinton's cards came from, I think. The origin story of that great British erstwhile brand.
The greatest thing he gave to the world. I think Clinton's quite popular in places like Kenya as well as a name after him. And
yes.
Churchill, weirdly, a lot of people name their babies after Churchill. I think it's particularly it's in lots of different groups, but Luos in Kenya tend to adopt famous people's names for their kids, I believe, which is quite fun. Pick your favorite celebrity.
But do you mean their full name, or like it's not? I've named her Kate after Kate. Would it be Kate Moss? You know,
it would often be Kate, like the full thing. I think the Kate Moss or the surname. You know, depends what you fancy.
I like the tradition of. There's a really good one in isiZulu, which is we have waited, which is a Lindy way. And I really, it's sort of, it's on one hand, it seems really, really nice because it's like, oh, finally a girl's arrived. But it's also, there's a sort of passive aggressive impatience there built into the name.
Yeah, you might as well call a child, you took your bloody time, didn't you?
Finally!
Yeah.
That's a good name. Finally would be a like that. And there's lots of sort of obviously there's precious and there's godly, but there's also kids called sadness, misery, penury, awfulness. These names, and they're sort of counterintuitive. So the idea is if you name your child something terrible, that might not befall them.
Okay.
So born on a rubbish heap, which the I think is Juji is the translation, means that it's often given to children who when the children before have died. It's like the idea is you give your child a terrible name and then the spirits will leave it alone because they think, that's suffered enough. Born on a rubbish heap. So yeah.
Wow. Can they then change their name when they turn 18 if all goes well and they don't want to still be called born on a rubbish heap for the rest of their life?
Yeah. They can say now living in a bungalow.
It's just an address. The name is also the address. No, you wouldn't risk changing your name because you'd think, well, the only reason I've escaped calamity so far is because I'm called,
I would update it. I would update it to a more recent bit of bad news. Underperformed expectations at GCSE level. Would be my next version of the name.
But you're asking to end up on a rubbish heap, aren't you, really? And people are just going to walk past and going, weren't you born on a rubbish heap? Yeah, I was.
Oh, with GCSEs like these, I'm staying there.
Well, I think you're trying to trick higher power, though, by giving your child a really depressing name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was anxious enough being called Susan at the sort of roll call at school.
Why are you? Why? But
oh, it's so bland, my name. It's the most. It's the name a librarian would turn her nose up at. It's
what?
So,
Superkins?
Yeah, but that's like. Yeah, but nobody called me Superkins at school. It's always,
When was the first time you were called Superkins? Because that must have been a light bulb moment. That must have been an exciting day.
Is it when you heard about the whole Tony Blur thing?
I can remember that day, actually. That was Paul Merton called me that first on Just a Minute in around about 2002 or 3 or something like that.
Oh, okay. That's good to know because we were discussing nicknames earlier, actually, with Ian Hislop, funnily enough, and was saying how sad it is when people give themselves nicknames. So good to know you're not.
Do they do that?
Yeah, but Ian would like to be known as Ian Hislop.
Ian Hislop, yeah.
Yes, he has asked.
He was given that name by one of our viewers on today's show, who was called Vulcan Hawkman, I think his name was.
Vulcan, you still there? He's not still there.
No.
So a lot of African names are so much more exciting than ours. They have Southern Africa and particularly South Africa is good for them. They have sort of love more, tell more, try more, learn more, which that is kind of. Now I'm looking back at that. That's not that nice.
Really?
Try more.
It's just constantly telling your kid to do better. Yeah.
Is that siblings, Anna? Is that like harder, better, faster, stronger?
I don't think they were, no, but it should have been.
Yeah.
And then there was an interview with a guy in Zimbabwe who's called Hatred. And he said he's called that because his parents, it's a good name. People wouldn't mess with you. He's called that because his parents did quite well, whereas his dad's brothers didn't do as well. So we're really, really jealous of his parents. So his parents, as an inside joke, called all their kids sort of names for the emotions that they felt that this jealous family had for them.
Wow.
So like hatred, confess, abide, resent. But a bit rough on the kids to carry. I
was going to say that's a joke that is only exclusively aimed towards their own children. It's an own goal.
Yeah.
I mean, how many hatreds would you have in a class? Is hatred, for example, the equivalent of Claire?
Is that hatred with the eye or without the eye?
Do you remember that thing about Dennis Rodman, the basketball player? His dad had 29 children by 16 different partners, and his name is Philander. Philander Rodman.
No.
Yeah, he passed away last year, sadly. But he used to run a burger shop in, I think it was the Philippines, called Rodman's Rainbow Obama Burger Restaurant. They were quite estranged as father and son. But Yeah.
I love the thing.
My
Just
favourite is still Jamajesty, which is Jermaine Jackson's son. Jamajesty, really, for me, is...
Didn't know that. That is strong work.
Do you remember when Jermaine Jackson changed his name from Jermaine Jackson to Jermaine Jackson? So he took the O out of Jackson at the end, and he put a U in, so it's son, the son versus son. Yeah, Jermaine Jackson, and I think he's back to Jermaine Jackson now. So don't mistaken that when you talk to him next. It's Jermaine Jackson, not Jermaine Jackson.
That's actually like. Do you remember Justin Trudeau's wife dropped the hyphen from her name? She's called Gregoire Trudeau, or Sophie Gregoire, I think. Yeah. And then a few years ago, the hyphen just disappeared. And that's not, why would you do that?
That's not a deep state conspiracy that you're trying to whip up here, is it, Anna?
Where's that hyphen gone, Andy? Did the Russians take it? I don't know.
They're holding it hostage.
So, presumably that was to make herself look a little bit more like the common man.
Yeah. I guess
perhaps
so. It's
the hyphen
was
do you know what I mean? It felt a little highfalutin.
I think it was her first name, not her surname. So, I don't think you go for the posh. Is a double-barreled first name posh?
I think a hyphen anywhere. I think a hyphen or a double barrel anywhere is posh.
I think a double-barrel first name is double posh, isn't it?
Is it?
I think so.
Going by anything more than two names by what you're going by, anyone who has any capacity.
Anything less than two names. But yeah, definitely Hunter Murray is
bullshit. I've actually taken 6 hyphens out of my name just to throw people off how outrageously posh I am.
You had so many hyphens, it was mostly equal signs by the end, wasn't it?
The one I like as well that there's an Ethiopian name which is Mizrak, which refers to where your father is when you're born, and it's specifically if your father is in Japan when you're born.
What?
Oh, how
is that a thing? Was there a lot of cultural exchange between the two?
This is something I perhaps should have checked on. I don't know. But, I mean, it's significant enough.
Yeah,
it means east, but it's particular to your dad being away in Japan. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's a lot of trade between Ethiopia and Japan, and it's a commonplace thing that dad, or maybe it's a euphemism. Dad's in Japan.
Oh yeah,
that's what it is.
Might be euphemistic.
He'll be back from Japan soon. Yeah.
There was one person, I think this was again in Zimbabwe, who, just speaking of that, spoke to someone who was fighting in the Congo, and his wife, while he was away, so he just left. His wife had a baby, then he got back and he looked at the baby and thought, I don't think that's mine, or thought, the dates don't quite match up. Didn't say anything, but the child was called Never Trust a Woman.
Oh my God. Is it a male child or a female child?
I don't actually know.
She could have got away with it. What was she thinking of?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Why did she name her child that? Why are you shagging somebody else is the name of your child?
I should be clear. I don't think it was the mother's choice. I think it was very much the father who imposed the name.
Okay.
I did think that was weird that the mum would have just gone, I'm going to have to do this, but it might be a bit of a giveaway.
But I just love the name so much.
There's a thing that happens in China where, as we were talking before about giving names that sort of relate to the person you want to be, taking on English names in China. There was a video I watched years and years ago on YouTube of a girl going around asking, what is your Chinese name? And then what is your English name? And it would be people saying dollars. My name is Dollars, and it's because I want dollars. Or one lady was called Frog. I can't remember why she decided to call it, but I think it was connected to interest in the animal. But on the flip side, I was sorry. In China, I mean, certain animals have certain qualities to them that are part of their zodiac and so on. But in Hong Kong, when I was growing up, I was given my Chinese name at school, and my Chinese name was a sort of it was so Schreiber, because your surname would come first, Schreiber Dan. So it was Xie Bo, Schreiber, Xie Bo, Dan. That was my name. And that sounded like it was going to be fine. But the words, the symbols they gave me meant that I was going around with the name, Thank You, Uncle Egg. That's that. And And I would lose Dan, so I'd be Xiebo, but Bo was just uncle. So I was walking around as a 5-6-year-old being called uncle by everyone. And the Chinese locals found that hilarious. Like, what the hell is this kid? Hi, I'm uncle.
That is funny.
Yeah. But no one, again, I didn't really know that until I got, to Australia. So like post my Hong Kong time. But it's a very similar thing. You can create Chinese names via sort of the phonetic sounding pairing of it. So Xiebo or Schreiber.
Yeah, I know somebody who went out with a Chinese girl who said that her Chinese name meant little fish, but her English name was Angela. And I couldn't work that out at all, but it didn't matter. She was Angela. But I don't know whether she'd chosen that name. It felt like a name that was that because it's quite a proper name, isn't it?
Like
it's
an
an old-fashioned name. I thought she might have.
Yes,
Angela.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be that, Andy. Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
I didn't think I'd stop making sense this early in the stream, to be honest.
We could see what happened in your brain.
I was looking to see if any kids have been named after Donald Trump. Because obviously he's named after Obama. And the Washington Post did an article about the popularity of the name Trump amongst Kurds in Iraq. And they spoke to a guy who'd named his newborn son Trump Hassan Jamil. And he said that Donald Trump is a confident and successful businessman, and I want my son to have the same confidence in life.
wait till he sees his tax returns. That's gonna, that child's gonna be renamed pronto, I suspect.
James,
Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? It shows you that actually just being a leader and just arriving in a country is sort of proof enough of success to warrant naming a child.
Yeah.
So there was a thing. This was an article in the Northampton Chronicle in 2017, and I'm just going to quote from it directly. All right.
Of course, it's a great paper.
Say straight from the Norfolk horse's mouth, please.
More than half of parents are now considering using the name Corbyn for their next child following the Labour leader's post-general election popularity surge. Now, more than half considering the name Corbyn is amazing.
Yeah. Well, that to me says that if you've got two people in a relationship, and it's pretty much every relationship is considering it.
Yeah.
True. Was their poll confined to the Corbyn household?
I don't know whether it was
family.
I don't know how the question was phrased. Was it, have you definitely had a discussion where you've ruled out the name Corbyn? No. Okay, then you're considering it. But,
what year was it, Andy?
2017. Do you remember? Very successful.
That's when I had my son.
Oh,
yeah.
Corbyn.
No, Boris Schreiber, but I don't remember considering Corbyn. Actually,
Corbyn's a great first name.
Yeah,
it is cool. Yeah, that's cool.
It's got connotations now.
Yes. I'll definitely consider it.
So if we're polling us, so we've got 50-50 so far. I'm probably a no for Corbyn, I think. What about you, James?
No, I'm married to a Russian, so ours will be called Power Station.
Yeah.
For a girl.
I do think Tractor is a cool name as well, by the way. When you said that earlier, Anna, I was like, Tractor Schreiber. I'd be up for that for my next kid.
It's
I don't know, Dan.
It's a muscular name, isn't it?
Yeah. I'd have a backup, or give them a nice middle name.
I'm not going to call him Backup Schreiber.
What was it? There was also a Ninel was quite popular, and Mel, Marx, Engel, Lenin, and Ninel was Lenin backwards was popular in the USSR as well. People got very creative with their political names.
You know a Mel, don't you, Sue? I wonder if she was named after Marx, Engels, and Lenin.
Well, her original name's Combine Harvester, but she changed it. Yes, and it does stand for Marx, Engel, and Lenin. Yeah, and now she's rumbled, and it serves her right for once again being another divisive personality in the media trying to force a left-wing agenda. But, I sort of, my favourite sort of name, I suppose, is more of a corporate one, which is when PowerGen went to Italy and then unveiled their branding and realised they'd called themselves Power Genitalia, which I never really got over because there were so many moments in the trajectory of that branding where somebody could have noticed. And nobody noticed. And those sorts of things really, really constantly make me laugh because the blame is spread over so many people, over so many departments.
Yeah, it's when the penny drops and everyone looks at everyone else and goes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there was one immature 17-year-old intern who knew from the start and just watched them shoot themselves in the foot, chuckling away. Surely.
Do you think, in terms of like we're talking about powerful people arriving on Air Force One and having the children being named after them, do you think the same thing will extend to? I mean, obviously there might be some Bidens, obviously now being named, but do you think it extends to powerful women? Are there any? Will we get a Kamala Harris, or will they're Thatchers? You know, was Thatcher, for example? Let's ask the Norfolk Chronicle. You know, in sort of 1980 something, were people considering Maggie as a name? Or
I'm glad you asked, Sue. I'm very glad you asked, because the same article from the Chronicle in 2017 said that 4 in 10 parents claim that May is a definite option for Theresa May, but only 4% intend to call their newborn Theresa. So maybe that kind of is a bit of contradictory evidence. Yeah.
I just think there might be a few holes in this poll. Do you have their methodology to hand?
I really don't. I'll take a minute and just write to the editors, the 2017 editor of the Northampton Chronicle.
Oh, it's Northampton. I keep saying Norfolk. I'm an absolute dunce. But that changes everything. I wonder if it's just sort of if it's just powerful men, or whether there's a trick. You know, I'd love that for kids to be called Kamala and
I think there is an effect. Like Dan mentioned the Kosovo thing earlier, and I think that there was a little uptick in girls called Madeleine because Madeleine Albright was the U.S. Secretary of State at the time. So if you don't want to call your little baby boy, a little baby girl rather, Clinton, then Madeleine is obviously a much nicer name.
Speaking of powerful, in 2018 there were 13 babies in America called Thanos. So, much more powerful than Thanos.
Well, all of them need to be under surveillance.
Were those babies named by parents who'd only just started watching the films and maybe hadn't realised that
what happens at the end?
Well, just how he turns out. I mean,
is he a baddie?
Because Anna.
Is this an Anna? Is he Game of Thrones?
It's an Anna Karenina.
Yeah, he's a character in Anna Karenina. Yes.
He's not Game of Thrones.
Is he not Game of Thrones?
No.
He's in the Marvel universe, and he wants to get rid of half the people in the universe by clicking his fingers.
Yeah. Can I say this is actually now going to expose me, because I had a fact in a podcast recently where Thanos was the hilarious punchline because it's a Marvel universe name, but I didn't get that joke at the time until it was explained to me in the article, and I've forgotten it since. So it's now going to be obvious that I hadn't made that original connection.
It was that some people got arrested in South America somewhere, was it, or Mexico?
Yes, it was. They have. I think it was in Brazil, and they have these trains or these buses that go around the streets, and they're just entertainment buses, and they have people whose job it is to dress up as fictional characters on them. And there was one that had, and then insert names of superheroes in the Marvel universe, like Superman, Batman, Spider-Man.
You haven't. Oh, well, you've named one now.
That was
We've just lost £5,000 from that hotel.
People have actually asked for refunds. Anyway, a fight broke out between two of these Marvel characters, and they were arrested and taken to a cell. And their arresting officer was this woman who was called Thanos.
Beautiful.
Who immediately culled half of them.
And I get that.
Yes, I mean, maybe the babies were named between movies. You know, the penultimate movie where Thanos is in the Ascendant. It looks like a good idea, and then
like the girls who were named after the character in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, don't give that away, because that you'll be giving a spoiler properly there.
Oh my God, Dan! People have had 2 years to watch the finale if they want to.
And I've been busy, so I haven't got to it yet.
I'm trying to work out which cat. Hang on, so they.
She's, let's just say, a little clue, she's the mother of dragons.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, sorry, I understand.
Christ.
Yes.
Cheers, mate.
Yes. Yeah, you mean Denise.
I do.
You do mean
Wonder
Denise.
Woman. Is it?
Yeah, that's. Oh god.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I think-
Are we not allowed to say that name? Because you think people will... Yeah, I don't want donations to fall. I want them to rise gloriously. So let's not spoil. But yeah, that didn't work out. So yes, didn't
No,
work
but
out
lots
so
of
well.
babies named Khaleesi and Daenerys and things like that.
and they've not regretted it because she remained good and great. So that's good to know.
Apart from when she goes absolutely batshit mental and basically torches an entire town. But that's not that's not the end of it, everyone.
Wow.
So don't
Okay,
get
cool.
annoyed.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
I am completely lost. All my kids are going to be named after Yes Minister characters. That's all I know. And by the way, there are no women in Yes Minister, so I'm afraid I'm going to have boys.
That's true. I hadn't thought about. Of course, there are. It's an entirely female-less universe, isn't it?
It's a woman-free zone. Yeah, there's one woman does appear for one episode in series 2. I think it's a very exciting moment.
Yes, Minister.
Yes. But
Yeah.
she appears as the token woman, and they talk about how she's a woman. So it's great, but it is a really good show. So I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
It's almost like a sci-fi universe where the women have been wiped out by this mysterious plague, and all the men are just trying to get on with procedural business to avoid confronting the full horror of what's happened to their
No
world.
one ever mentions it.
No,
Oh
no
my
one ever
God.
mentions it.
Maybe
When that one woman came in the second series, that must have been a moment. But they kept the demureness and wow.
they couldn't accept it.
Do you know
It's,
what? I think Last of the Summer Wine might also be set in this universe because
No,
you've got
Nora
Nora
Batty.
Batty.
You've got
Yeah,
Nora
Nora
Batty.
Batty's the last woman left who's going to have to restart the species.
Yes, and to be fair, the only thing she's a woman incapable of pulling her stockings up, so she doesn't bode well for the universe. Basic motor function seems to have escaped her, so who knows? Yeah.
Oh God, we've already spiraled into insane theories about 1980s shows. Let's talk about names, guys. Do you know what Tiffany Trump's named after? Speaking of Donald Trump,
Okay.
Shop.
The diamonds.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
just
Oh,
named
okay.
after the bloody jewelry shop, and Halle Berry as well, named after a department
Berries.
store.
Oh, okay.
What?
Sorry. Yeah, just
Really?
a department store near her parents' house. Halle Berry.
Bergdorf Goodman. Clinton, presumably. So do they just name them after sort of rich, sort of bedazzling places?
I suppose so. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
a Saks? Is there a Saks? Someone might have been named after Saks Fifth Avenue or something.
What's
Andrew Sachs, who played
Yeah.
Manuel,
Yes.
named after Goldman
Yes,
Sachs.
and the saxophone also was named
Yeah.
after it.
it was?
Kobe Bryant was named after the beef.
What was?
Kobe Bryant, the basketball player.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, his parents were in a restaurant. They saw Kobe on the menu and thought, that sounds like a good name for a kid.
Really?
They're right as well.
Oh, it is.
It is a
It's
great
strong
name.
name, Kobe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked.
It is a strong name.
Yeah.
The people who started strong names were the Puritans, right? Everyone acts like it's a newfangled thing, giving your kids weird names. 16th century England, that's where we invented cool names. And you know when they decided that all the standard English names had associations of badness, so you should have names that reminded you of your sinfulness. And so people in England in the 15 and 1600s were called things like job raked out of the ashes. If Jesus Christ had not died for thee, thou hadst been damned.
Smith.
First name. Humiliation Scratcher. What is that?
Why did I never come across this in Who Do You Think You Are? You know what I mean? It's always they go back and in Colin, your great-great-grandfather, and James, great-great. No one ever says, we raked your job out the ashes or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think it was obviously a small subset of sort of puritanical Britain where these names have been dished out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sadly lost.
Sue, we're very sadly going to have to wrap up with you.
But it's been a joy.
It has been so fun. Thank you so much for coming on. We've raised some nice money while you've been here. We are now on £52,984.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. And so we'll take a quick break. Sue, once again, thank you so much
My
for
absolute
doing
pleasure.
this.
And best of luck, guys. And thanks for donating, everyone at home.
Perfect. And we'll be back, everyone, in a couple of minutes for fact number 10 with the Guilty Feminist podcast. Way!
Hey
Hey everybody, we hope you enjoyed watching that video from our 20-hour-long No Such Thing as a Fish comic relief marathon. There are plenty more videos to watch, but before you watch them, we're going to ask you to donate to the cause that we did this for. Go to the link below and you will be sent to comicrelief.com/fish where you can donate and help change lives. Donate now.